Please give a warm welcome to iconic investor and entrepreneur, Ray Dalio.
Whoa, what an honor. To be among such incredible people and incredible writers. And, you know, I'm just a humble investor, so this is quite something. I wonder what we have in common. And listening to all the writers and thinking about my own life experience, it strikes me that we all had our different lives that gave us our different stories, and that they ended up being in our books. We are still going through similar life cycles that last around 85 years, give or take about 10 years. They take us through our different phases, from childhood, when we are dependent on others, to adulthood, when we choose our adventures and others become dependent on us, and to our post-work lives in which Joseph Campbell said we are free to live and free to die. From my perspective of being 75, looking back on my life, I find it striking of how it was so different than I thought it would be. To me, life's path had a lot more randomly determined events that shaped my life cycle in a way that I never imagined. And my biggest and most painful mistakes and failures were typically my most valuable experiences, because they taught me the most, and I never expected that. I wonder if the same is true for you all and the other authors. I wonder what we have in common. In my case, when I was 12, I caddied for people who invested in stocks, which we talked about when we were walking around on the caddying on the golf course. And the little money that I took, I earned, and I bought stocks. The first stock I bought was bought because it was the only company I ever heard of that was selling for less than $5 a share. I thought I could buy more shares. If it went up, I would make money. It turned out that it was about to go broke, and some company acquired it. It tripled in value, and I was hooked. I thought that this game was easy. The game is anything but easy, but it got me hooked. That experience got me hooked and began my career. I got the bug. In those years that followed, I went to school, college, and graduate school, worked on Wall Street for a couple of years, and then set up my little investment firm. I got married, which taught me that the one who one chooses to be one's closest partner in life is the most important decision one can make. And I was very lucky to choose well. When I was 33, in 1982, I made my biggest mistake that led me to my biggest beneficial change. I calculated that American banks had lent more money to emerging countries than those countries were going to be able to pay back, and that there would be a big debt crisis, which was controversial and got a lot of attention. Sure enough, Mexico defaulted on its debt in August 1982, and a number of countries followed. But the stock market went up rather than down because the Fed lowered its interest rates a lot, and that took me by surprise. I lost money for clients. I went broke. I was so broke that I had to borrow $4,000 from my dad to pay for my family bills. That painful experience was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it gave me the humility that I needed to balance with my audacity. It taught me how to diversify, to reduce my risks without reducing my returns. And it led me to think about and write down my life and work principles to produce outcomes that I wanted. What I learned and how I changed allowed me and my company then to have decades of good success. That experience created that opportunity, and so much so that in 2008, when I was 59, we anticipated the global financial crisis, and that because we had studied the Great Depression. I thought that that was great. That led to Bridgewater and me getting a lot of attention. Some of the attention was about our culture, radical truthfulness, and radical transparency, and included some snarky stuff that wasn't really true, which led me to put my life and work principles online, which were downloaded 3 million times because many people found them helpful. That surprised me. I became a writer. Then Jofi from Simon & Schuster called, and he said, why don't you make it a book? And the year that I stepped out of the CEO job, I decided to pass along these principles that had worked for me. And so I put out my first book. 5.5 million copies were sold in 34 languages, and people came up to me, they still come up to me all the time, and they thanked me, which surprised me. And I never expected to write books and to impact people in this way. Now that I'm nearly 75 and in my last phase of life, I emotionally want to and logically need to pass along what I have that might be of value to others. I'm writing what I believe will be my last book, which is about investment and economic principles, and I am very grateful to Simon & Schuster, especially avid reader, to make me an author. Wow. And I wonder what surprises will come next. So thank you all for indulging me, and thank you for Simon & Schuster.